Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the True Life Podcast. We are here with an amazing human being, a nutritionist, a personal trainer, and someone who's been on a pretty spiritual journey for quite some time and enjoys helping people. All her links are below where you can check her out, but I'm going to let her introduce herself a little bit. The very beautiful Carissa Caudill. How are you?
Hi, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time it is for everybody. I'm good, thank you. I'm very, very happy to be here and happy to connect with you again. We were chatting before, 30 years, something like that. We were grew up on the same playground in the elementary school or junior high. So yeah, it's a pleasure to connect, and it's really nice to see that we're aligned with the work that we do so that we can put this little chat together and hopefully share some good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. For those that don't know, Carissa has been on a pretty amazing journey. She's been practicing yoga. She's been working with nutritionists. She has been studying the sober lifestyle. And what can you tell people, like, how did you get on this journey? Was there something in particular that happened, or was it something that was always inside of you? Or what do you think was the spark that made this thing happen?
Um, well, it's been a long journey, but I'd say in my teen years, my early teen years, the drinking just kind of came along with the slumber parties and the weekend get-togethers with the young kids. It started for me in junior high, and high school. It just expanded and got a little bit more, And through the years, that party lifestyle turned into a coping mechanism for me throughout life. And so I reached a point in my early 20s to where I knew I needed to quit drinking. And I went to a treatment center. And I felt like after close to a year of being sober, I got this thing. I can do life again. So I went back out for 16 years, and um, I approached life on my terms, and I tried to do the manageable drinking on my own. And I hit a bottom at 39 years old where I was just at an all-time bottom. And I knew that I was in trouble health-wise. My dreams that I had ever wanted for myself were I was not living any kind of dream that I had ever wanted for myself. And I knew I was at this cusp of an age where I was starting to notice other women in their mid 40s, early 50s that looked just so healthy and vibrant. And they were just, business women or just athletic women, yoga work, whatever. They were just living life. Um, and then I was looking at the people I was with, and they were more party people, or I was doing a lot of golfing at the time. And so drinking and golfing went really hand in hand. So that's I love the sport first off, but that was another reason that made me love it even more. But I was starting to really look at these paths of where I was. And it was just this inside feeling like I had in my 20s where I just knew that I was really shorting myself of a genuine life that I really wanted to live. And so it was beyond the health. I was having some health problems and some weight problems. I was 50 pounds heavier. I was like 170. My scale was like right around the 170 mark. And that was my baby weight when I was full term with my kids. That was my weight. So I reached that weight with just the lifestyle I was living, heavy drinking, and I was falling into deep depression. And it was really just knowing that I was doing this to myself. It was a self-sabotage, and it was a cycle. And it was really hard for me to come to terms that because I had a love-hate relationship with alcohol. And I loved it so much. It would like make me feel warm and comfortable, and it was my coping mechanism. But then yet it was this culprit to a domino effect of problems and issues. And so it's definitely kept me in a very low vibration. So at 39 years old, I made some phone calls to some people that I also knew were on this journey and I asked for some help. And it's just been not an easy journey, but I'm 7.5 years sober. And, I have to share, a year before I got sober, um, I hit this emotional bottom, and I remember going to the library. I don't know why I went to the library. I just went to the library because it was just like this place where I didn't know what I was going to do there, but I just started journaling, and I took a notebook with me and I started journaling and journaling. And in this journal, it's so neat to be able to look back on it, because now it's the power of that intention and the power of, like, when you put something out there into the universe and you actually really feel it. You're not just writing something and checking the box like a goal list, but you really truly want something that you're passionate about. And I wrote that one day I want to be one of those women that are healthy and vibrant, and share, somehow be able to be strong enough to share with other women that are in the same spot as I was. And so, unfortunately, my kids had to grow up watching their mom. I worked and I did all the things on the outside, but on the inside, I was really hurting and I drank a lot. So your kids feel that. Your kids know when you're present or not emotionally available. So anyways, I wanted to break out of it and somehow be at a point in my life where I can go back and help others. I didn't know if it would ever happen, but I knew that in my journaling session, within that time span that I spent in the library, I didn't even open a book in there. I just used that space, I guess, to journal. And so, I'm living that right now. I'm living that. So, I work in a treatment center for substance abuse. I work with people all over the world that come in. And I'm a fitness coordinator. I teach yoga and breath work. And then I have my own nutrition business, nutritional recovery. I work with women virtually, men, women, even teenagers. I've been working with teenagers to help get them on the right food path with nutrients that are athletic and want to start making better choices with foods, because those better habits start in our teens, especially, well, in our younger years, but especially those teens when the drinking and all that starts. So it's a way for me to give back, and I truly heal through the people I get to work with. When I get to work with teenagers and help their parents and them kind of connect on a food level, for the internal, because it's cognitive as well. What we put into our body, food holds vibration, and it affects our cognitive health, and it affects our self-esteem. And I know as a teenager, I broke out. I was heavy. I went through weights like this, like I'd gain 20 pounds, lose 20 pounds, gain. So, anyways, that's my story.
That's the journey. Yeah,
That's the journey.
it's super inspiring to hear. Like I think everybody goes on. I think everybody has issues where they ride these waves of, like, oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and then they hit a roadblock and then they fall. And so whenever I hear somebody tell their story about a journey, about, like, they get to a point where they're like, you know what, not anymore, I'm done. Like, I get goosebumps when I think about that. And when you tell that story, like, that's what I think of. And it's such an empowering thing and such a beautiful thing to see the human emotion come out and conquer fear. Now, you mentioned an interesting point. You said a lot of interesting points, but I wanted to start here, is that when you got to this point where you started journaling and finding a quiet space to begin the process, did you also start beginning to change your diet? And how are those, how do you think your nutrition, your fitness, and your ability to get over addiction are all connected? Do they feed off each other? Is one cause the other, or are they synonymous, or how does that work for you?
Well, when I first started my journaling, I was in just utter pain. I was in utter pain. My children had to go live with their dad, and I had this time where I had to get my life together, and I was just in this utter pain, and I didn't want to go to a bar. I didn't want to go hang out with my friends, and I almost didn't feel safe to go anywhere. So I just found, like, because I was just this, like, where do I do with myself? So I was just, the journaling was inspired by just utter pain. I was doing a lot of praying. I went to the churches. I went, then I hired a trainer. Like I did the trainer, but that didn't help keep me sober. That wasn't working. So during this time, for a year, I was just doing a lot of effort, like hiring a trainer, going to church, finding youth groups, or finding groups to, volunteer, getting a different job, journaling. Like I was trying all these things. I am a part of a traditional 12-step group, which helps me. I gotta be careful, like with the, but there are traditional groups where you can be a part of, being able to be around other people in recovery. So I did join other recovery groups after a year. When I first got sober, it was really, I surrounded myself with a bunch of other people that were sober. But that first year before was just trying everything else but that. Because it's really hard to go into a room and to admit to someone else, I have a problem with alcohol. It was really hard. I mean, it was just, that was like, I don't know if it was ego or just truly letting go of that one thing I thought I can control, because I wanted to feel like I had control, and it was hard to admit.
Yeah.
But as soon as I started admitting, I do have a problem with this drinking thing and I need help, it was so embarrassing and humbling at the same time, but it brought people closer to me. And then all of a sudden I didn't feel so lonely. And then I would share it with another person, and then they, and if they didn't have a problem going on, it was like, oh my God, my uncle or my mom or my sister or my husband, or, like I don't think there's one family out there that's not affected by addiction.
I agree.
If it's not you, it's someone within your family dynamics. So when I get to share, I just had to hit that point where I was in enough pain where I had to talk about it. I didn't have my kids with me. I was just almost at a point, like, what's there to live for? And it was just like, I knew something had to shift. And I'm like, what are these women doing that get to look like that? I'm going to the gym and it's not just like seeing what they look like on the outside. Like I could feel their joy through their smiles and the white in their eyes and I wanted that. I'm like, what is that? Like, I want that, how cool with that. So, I just kept seeking. I was in enough pain where I knew it was like, if I go this way any longer, I'm going to die. And it may not be physically death, but it's going to be a spiritual, I had this soul sickness going on. It was like, I had this spiritual pain. It was just like this energy was so low and I couldn't lift it. So yeah, it started with the journaling, wanting it enough, figuring out what I wanted. And I didn't even know what I wanted till I wrote it all out, and I cried and I cried. And in the journal, there's like wet spots, in the pen. There's so much tears, but I wanted it, and it's so crazy because it's in us. And when I get to work with other people that are new into breaking out of not the dark, so to speak, but their consciousness is just glassed over, and they're numbed out, and they get to like kind of come into this new, I get to see that, they come to me when they're on their first days of detoxing, and then I get to see them within the first week, second week, third week, and train them and work with them and make sure they drink water. It's just like so beautiful. And then the most talented, and it doesn't discriminate, it's the most talented people. And I don't know. It's so beautiful to be able to see people break out of it. But there's maintenance, we have to stay in recovery. So anybody can go without picking up a drink, if they really wanted to, they could, really just fight it and say, I'm not drinking today. But it's the quality of life and that internal, like, it doesn't have to be a struggle. It could be a beautiful journey. but you got to do some work. You got to find out the why you drink, you know, and what led you to drink, and what are the things you like to do. And I like to go back to childhood, because there's this inner child in all of us. It's like, what did you like to do as a kid? That's the first thing I ask people. What do you like to do as a kid? And they're like, I don't know. I like to swim. Well, then let's get you swimming. They're like, yeah, that kind of stuff. You know, like, I kind of like to use the surf or boogie board. Well, let's get you on a boat. You know, they're like, yeah, but we got to get you healthy enough to be able to do that. They're like, I'm not too old. Like, no, you're not too old. Like, are you kidding? So, I don't know. It's just, I had to go through those stages when I was, like I said, when I was sober, first got sober, I was like 50 pounds overweight, and I went straight to sugar. Alcohol, like the people I was hanging out with were like, just eat the donuts, drink the coffee. It's better. It's way better than picking up a drink. And I was like, that sounds right, you know, but it was that. And dopamine hit. It was the serotonin, that sugar was kicking. I mean, it's just like cocaine, you know,
Right.
it's like kicking in. And then I had a whole nother battle with food. And then I'm like, wait a minute, I don't want to just eat my problems away and numb out. This isn't why I got sober, but I had to go through that journey my first year of sobriety. And then I joined a fitness team, and I went to the gym. It's pretty cool. I went to the gym, and I was so embarrassed to even go into the gym because I was so out of shape. And then I just kept seeing this fitness team, this one man with all his girls, like the fitness team, you know, there was a team. It was like a sport. It wasn't just girls hanging out looking pretty in the gym. Like, these girls were like boot camp and in the gym, and they were competitive trainers. They were competing, you know, they're training to compete. And I wasn't even like, I looked at them in awe and admired, but very intimidated. And then after so many months, I finally built the courage to like talk to the coach. And then he took me on, and I stayed with that team. I hired him, and and he actually sponsored me, and I became a trainer, the first female trainer on the team. And I got certified, and because I had that athleticism in me since a child. So that's why I'm so in tune to what we used to do as children for athletics. And then he got me competing. And I was doing the bikini competitions, and I won first place, all natural. And it was just these crazy experiences I got to do since I got sober. And yeah, didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I became a flight attendant for a little bit. I was doing the personal training. Then I did I was managing a golf course at the food and beverage area. I was doing a little bartending, but managing. So yeah, it's been a journey. And so now I get to work with people in recovery, and that's where my heart's at. That's just where my heart's at.
Yeah, it sounds like it's such a story of, like, I always think of biblical scripture sometimes, whether it's like, I've been reading a lot of Siddhartha, and it's just a story of like all of us, how we go through these different stages of life. And the story you told almost sounds like a rebirth. Like, you got to this point where part of you died, and then another part started growing back. And I think when that happens to people, it gives you this rare ability to see it happening inside other people. And like, that's it seems like a gift you have, like the way you talk about helping other people. You know, I can physically see it when you smile, like you get real joy out of it. And that's probably why you're so successful at it. I was going to ask you this. How does it feel like when you see someone for the first time going through some of the issues that you went through? Like, what are some of the strategies you use to help that person?
There's so many different ones, because I get the opportunity to work with young girls that are 18 and up, and then I get women my age, and I get older, the senior, and then I get the male, the younger guy, the 18. And so I get a variety. And so I'm kind of being broad here, because I work a full-time job in a treatment center. And I also have my own business where I work nutrition. And I also do a little sober coaching, life coaching. It just kind of depends on who comes to me, if it feels like it's a connect. So I have different strategies, but it's like I had shared before the call. I don't think we were recording yet.
Yeah.
Through so many years, I was so blocked and numbed out through my drinking and emotional states of just putting up blocks and keeping a disconnect with people. And I felt so deeply. And it was just a lot of us in addiction do. We just have a deep, deep need. And when we numb out, and I hate to speak for other people, but I will speak for myself, but it's this need where it's like this, you're hurting so much, or you feel so much and you kind of can't handle it. So you numb out more. So when you remove the alcohol, like I'm going to speak for myself, I've grown to become very empathically inclined without even knowing. So I can feel the emotion. And I'm going to give this as an example. When I teach yoga, I teach yoga 5 nights a week in the treatment center, and I do it right before they go to bed, 8:30 to 9:30 at night. And I dim the room, and I light the candles, like little battery candles. And we set the tone, and I incorporate some breath work and stretching and yoga. And I'm always asked, what type of yoga do you do? What is it going to be? Hard, intermediate? And I just said, it's restorative, it's yin, it's just very, and I said, actually, I said, I read the room. I pick up off your guys' energy. If it's an emotional day of therapy for everybody and they come into the room, I can feel it. I can feel all that emotion in the room, and I can incorporate. Like, my routine's never the same every night. I just incorporate the right stretches to help relieve tension, like in the heart chakra, the hips, help release tension in the hips. So I just kind of read the room and incorporate to their needs. So that's just one strategy of kind of just suiting everybody's needs. And that's in a group setting, but one-on-one, I don't know, you'll kind of know automatically if it's a connect. I do like to ask them what their goals are, what are they wanting for themselves, why did they quit drinking, why are they making this change? And that's a big reason. Sometimes it's because you got the nudge from the judge, or your wife is making you, or your husband's making you, and you don't really want it. So that's not going to be exactly the best fit. If it's like you don't really want it and you're just doing it because you have to, and you want me to just like, I don't know, just show up so you can tell someone you're showing up. But if you really, really want it, I can feel that and I can connect with you. And it's like this language of the heart, and I will not necessarily share what's going on with me, but they know I understand I just want them to understand more than anything that I understand. And if I don't, I don't.
Right.
But if I understand and we connect, and I've already been through like that eye of the needle, at least I know the way to pull you through it. And so I don't know if I'm kind of speaking in code, maybe.
No, it's perfect. I think that there's something to be said about language and, not just our words, but the way we carry ourselves. Like, you can totally tell if someone's bullshitting you, or if they really mean what they say, or if they want to do something, or if they're just there because they have to. And, I think that stems from, I think it stems from this. Let me put it this way. In my life, I've found that looking back on some of the tragedies that have happened in my life, I think to myself recently, like, maybe all these things happened to me so that I can be who I am today. And I found it to be kind of therapeutic. And when I speak to people like yourself who've been through difficult tragedies with their families and, trying to figure out who they are and battling with addiction, or why they battle with addiction, or maybe some people have been molested, or maybe some people have been in abusive relationships, I found it like almost cathartic, or just rewarding to think for a moment that there's some force bigger than us, be it God or Allah or Buddha, whatever it is you choose to label that force. Like that force has decided to put you in those situations. And
Mm,
I think of it like, look, I'm going to put you in this horrible situation. It's going to be horrible, but I want you to know that I'm putting you through this because I think you're strong enough to come out of it and then help other people come
mm,
through it. And when you do come through tragedy, whether it's addiction or the loss of a child, when you come through something like that, maybe not right afterwards, but you will get stronger. Something dies inside you, but something stronger grows back. And I think that that is part of our evolution as people, as humans, as intelligence. And that is our job. Look, I'm sorry this horrible thing happened and it's going to suck and there's going to be consequences, but please go out and find the other people so it's easier for them. And when you do
mhm,
that, like it's just one per like you are making the world better, Chris. I love it. Like you're
mhm.
helping people not only where you're at, but you, let me shift gears here. You have this incredible idea about a DNA based diet. Can we start talking about that a little bit? Like, what is that? How did you get there? And what does it do for us? How does it work?
Yeah, that's really exciting. That's probably my favorite part because nutrition and learning how to eat can do, for the better reasonings of my health, not just to lose weight. Yes, I wanted to lose weight, but more important, like I said, when I first got sober, like I had no idea what was going on with my body. And nobody in the recovery world was talking about nutrition. And nobody in the fitness arena that I jumped into was talking about addiction. So I had these wires were crossed where I just knew eat chicken and rice to get on stage and get in a bikini. And to me, I didn't know anything other than like lose weight, healthy, right? Okay, bikini fitness, like I must be doing it right. Well, it's not sustainable. It looks great and it wasn't sustainable. It's just not, and it wasn't the healthiest way to live. So then I'm in the addiction where just eat donuts, drink coffee. It's better than a drink. So now I'm like on these two opposite ends of the spectrum, all in. It's like the addictive, all in with the donuts, all in with the coffee, or all in with the chicken and rice every day. It's like, so, um, it was through my nutrition journey and my health and wellness journey. It's like 7.5 years now. And to sustain a healthy weight and sustain a healthy lifestyle for the right reasons, the cognitive, the cravings, the sugar cravings, the alcohol cravings, all of that. I came across this genetic DNA testing a few years back, and I had studied it and read about it and I liked it. And, I tried it, and then got some blood work done. So I did, I've always tried those testings for myself because I want to learn more and more about how my body operates. And then I started realizing, this is something that like everyone should know, especially, I mean, not just for people early in recovery, but everyone should know like how your body has a tendency to um, react and metabolize different foods. Not everybody's meant for the keto diet. Yes, if you eat just a bunch of healthy fats. I mean, there's the healthy keto and the unhealthy keto. You see people out there eating fries and all the fried food keto, then you see the healthy keto. So if you're going to do the healthy keto. But not everybody's body is meant, or has the ability, I should say, has the ability to consume and break down the fats like another person. So everybody's genetics are different. And same thing with protein. And, some people are in the lucky club gene and some people aren't. And most of us know, like, if you're genetically inclined, if you go to the gym, you get results really fast. Um, but it is nice to know where you're at. This test allows me to better coach someone in the aspect of nutrition, helps us put us in the right direction and focus on the right foods with proteins, fats, and carbs. And then it gives you a nutrient breakdown of where your body may have more of a tendency to be deficient in like vitamin D, B, C, a lot of the deficiencies that a lot of us in early addiction come across. And even in not early addiction, a lot of people in the world
Yeah.
nowadays. And then in the fitness, body composition, how your body responds to cardio. Some people may have, it comes all in the testing. It shows maybe your body would work better to do long-term cardio, 30 to 45 minutes, moderate cardio. You're going to have more fat loss, your body's going to burn more fat that way versus sprinting. Some people might have that sprint ability to lose fat faster. So it just kind of allows me to help navigate, and for the people who have a little bit more of a hurdle in the genetic, it gives us a little bit more grace. Like, be easy on yourself. It doesn't mean it's not going to happen. It just means we just need to kind of like modify and like work in this area a little bit more. It's always inevitable. You exercise, you eat right, you get good sleep, you keep your stress level down, the self-care, all that stuff. It's inevitable. You're going to get healthier. You're going to lose weight. Some people just faster than others. So this test just allows us, and it's awesome to be able to see it on paper and go, okay, this is me. You only have to take the test one time. It's your genetics. Your blueprint doesn't change. It's your DNA. Your fingerprint doesn't change. And that's it. So it's just something I like to incorporate to help me just get to know the person I'm working with internally. And then we can discuss traits and genetic, the genes. And I want people to be able to fit into their own genes.
So good. That should be your tagline. That's beautiful. That is right on the cusp of personalized medicine. And if you look where we're going right now, at least if you read a lot of the literature coming out of some of the modern medicine schools, you'll see that sites like 23andMe or Ancestry.com, or even some of these other ones, like Dr. Rhonda Patrick has this one you can put your information into. And the future, I think, is definitely going towards personalized medicine with your genetic code, what you can eat. And I was curious, let's say that I sign up and you and I start working on my profile. Would you be able to write me like a fitness workout code that goes with diet and eating? And then on top of that, the second part of this question is, do you take notes on someone's psyche? Because while there's different genetic testing that can be done, I think someone such as yourself, a counselor such as yourself, or a coach like yourself could really add to that particular system by writing down a set of personality traits or ideas about how that person thinks. There might be some patterns there that you could kind of pioneer. What do you got on those two questions?
Yeah, actually, I do that. That's, that goes into the encumbered under the coaching. So I do incorporate some coaching in with that. And I do with the accountability. I do every Sunday an accountability. And so I will create for each client a way to incorporate healthy habits based on you. I mean, not everybody's gonna fall into meditation and prayer, and so there are other things to kind of wean you into some healthier things. It may be the hot cold therapy, taking a nice hot bath, lighting some candles, listening to whatever you want to, journaling for just a few minutes, 5 minutes, and then taking a nice cold shower after, that hot cold therapy. That adrenaline, as soon as your body triggers that little bit of adrenaline, which that cold water spike does, that really shocks the body, and it also helps your metabolism throughout the rest of the day. So there are some other things that I can incorporate. The psyche, I don't get too much into the psyche. I get more, like I had said in the beginning, it's more of this emotional connect. It's like a language of the heart that I can really feel someone's needs of what their needs are. And I like to try and incorporate ways for them to fulfill their own needs without needing it from their husband or needing it, from their like the codependent from your children, or, needing to be, just needing to go shop or needing to go, do like this to fulfill that void in other ways within yourself. I really like to help focus on that, because that does it really come out in our behaviors of why we do certain things. Impulsively eat, say F it, I'm just going to eat this thing. Or it could just be I'm at a party and I'm going to celebrate and have this piece of cake. That's totally different. But when we're just in this mood and we're emotionally eating, I do like to really just get to know the person's needs of what they and why they want to, like, why do you want to lose weight? Did you just recently become single and you want the revenge body and you want to go out and meet somebody? Or, and that's okay too, because I've been there. That was my bikini body journey. I get it. And I did it. But it's not necessarily the healthiest mindset. I wasn't working with anybody at that time to help tame me down and say, whoa, woman, let's make sure you're doing this for the right reason. Like, I didn't have anybody kind of navigating me in that area. After I hung up, I didn't say, hate to say hung up the competition bikini, and stopped competing, is when I really started opening my heart to that deeper level of what I needed. And I was hurt. There was so much hurt from, being made fun of. My weight was made fun of. I was never, I chose relationships where they picked me apart, cheated on. I was, all those things. I wanted to feel good enough. I wanted to, and I wanted to get healthy, but I got sidetracked, so I didn't have anybody to really help navigate me of your deeper level of what does Carissa need? Why does Carissa want to do this bikini competition? Why does, like, nobody asked me that. I was just like, all these other reasons. I had 100 reasons. So I just really like to get to know your need, your why, and focus on that and help you just become the best version of yourself for all the right reasons. That's it. Because otherwise it's, it's wasted energy. It's energy that, vengeful energy. It's just low vibration energy, spiteful energy, like all that stuff is toxic. So I really like to keep your whole journey as healthy as possible. And I guess that does go into the mindset, into the psyche. It's like this mind, like in yoga, I like to say, connect your breath with your heartbeat, because then you really feel the alignment of your mind and head. And when you make a decision and you start doing this long enough, you'll know if you make a decision and it's straight from here. It's just straight here. And then I also make decisions and it's straight here. And I'm like, later on, I'm like, oh man, I should have thought that through a little bit. But I know when I make decisions and in my mind and my heart is completely aligned and it feels right, whatever the decision is, I'm like, yes, this feels right. Like, I know. And I want that for people I work with. I want you to know why you're choosing the right foods, why you're losing the weight, why you're making decisions, because how we do one thing is how we do everything. So
those are such great points. Like, if you don't know your why, then you're not going to have the ability to continue when times get tough, because you don't know why you're doing it, and on the topic of your heart and mind being aligned, like, I recently read this book. I'm going to send you a copy. It's phenomenal. It's called The Embodied Mind. And the gentleman's name is Thomas Verney. He graduated from Stanford, and I think maybe it was Harvard, one of those Ivy League schools. I think it was Harvard, in like 1970. And he wrote a book. His first book was called the the heart and mind of the unborn child or something like that. And he talked about how we begin to develop patterns that will be forever in our lives before we're even born. His
Mm.
second book, the one that I'm going to tell you about, is that he's done a lot of recent studies that show the way in which we form memories, the way in which we think is not only in the brain, but in every cell of the body. And every
Mm.
single cell of the body is like its own brain. And he spoke specifically about people that got heart transplants and they began to take on a new personality. He talked about the different neurotransmitters that are throughout the body. And when you
Mhm.
said to me, like, George, when my heart and my mind is aligned, like I know it's the right thing, like that's your body working perfectly together to
Yeah.
come up with the right decision. And then
Yeah.
on another side note, I was thinking when you do yoga, and also in this book, he was saying that when people are on the same frequency, like if you and I are running together, or if you and I are working out together, our heartbeats somewhat synchronized. And
Mhm.
that is when when you're with the person you love, whether it's your child or your lover, and you're waking up or you're sitting at dinner or whatever, the chances of your heartbeat being aligned is probably pretty good. And that's probably a pretty opportune time to have a discussion about things that are real. And
Mhm.
it excites me for what you do, and to see the future coming for nutrition, for recovery, and for all these things. It's an exciting time. I got one more topic I wanted to ask you. Well, I got a few more, but do you, what do you think about, like, it seems to me that all of us are some are going through some form of abuse, and it doesn't matter if you're white or black, or it seems from like a very early time, all of us have been kind of beaten up, and we get into our 30s or our 40s and we're like, we treat other people much better than we would treat ourselves. It seems like we have this inner dialogue that's so negative. And it's the more people I talk to, like I can hear it in their words, like, oh, I can never do that. Just like these little jabs they do to themselves. And I always got to stop and be like, hey, don't do that. Like, what are you doing? Don't do that. You don't tell yourself that. You would never say that to somebody
Mhm.
else. Why do you think we have this collective guilt or this collective anger at ourselves? Where does that stem from?
That's inner child work.
Mm.
That's inner child work right there. I have done a lot of inner child work. I started doing inner child work. I was introduced to it my first year of sobriety, and it's deep. It's deep stuff because it makes you look back on of how you grew up. And I grew up I had a good upbringing, but there always, our parents only know what they know.
Right.
Our families only know what they know. And none of it's meant, like, pun intended. Nobody's mad. I don't think, or maybe when they're mad, I don't know. But then we're just hard on ourselves. But it does start from that child. That child is told no, or what's wrong with you? What the heck's wrong with you? Or we're not talked to, we're not communicated to, so we don't understand. So then we start, at least I'm going to speak from, like, I'm not like a doctor, I don't know, but this is my experience, like, and from the research that I have done, and the inner child work that I've done, has taught me that it was all learned from a very, very, very young age. Either someone told you something and you believed it, or they punished you and you didn't understand why, so you just thought, I'm bad. And so they're like short circuits. The work I've done some work, and I was told it was short circuits. I had short circuits. So we of those belief systems, that carried on through the years, and that's probably there is a chemical reaction to alcohol. I take a drink that says, me, after 3 drinks, my body's like, yay, more. For the average person, they're like, whoa, I've kind of had enough. But me, it's more, 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 because that's the chemical reaction. But then also underlying from that, you got this short circuit of depression. So it's like putting, alcohol is a depressant. So you're putting fuel on the fire of, something's wrong with me, or, you might be going through a breakup, or you might be going through a hard time at work, or find it, whatever. And you're just short circuiting back to that old belief system of something's wrong with me, or I'm not good enough, or, I'm failing again, or I let someone down again. It's just this vibrational, like, weight. But I do truly believe it starts from childhood. There is a lot of work that you can do. I don't specialize in the work, but I have done the work, so I'm aware of it. And I do know some ways. I've done enough work around it where I do know some ways to work with someone that maybe I can empathically kind of pick up, and we can talk, I may not even talk about it, but I'm familiar with it enough where if I see it, I'm gonna see the familiarities. I'm gonna see it's familiar. I do believe it's just from childhood. There's a lot of work you can do around it. It's almost like reparenting yourself. You have to reparent yourself. I've done a lot of deep meditations and writings and visualizations of literally me holding as the adult Carissa, I'm an adult, I'm 46 years old, holding that little girl's hand and saying, I got you. You're okay. No one's going to hurt you no more. I got you. Like, it's because that emotion still is living inside in that cell, and it's still, that painful memory still comes up. And so I get to hold my hand in my inner teenager. I have an inner teenager that's been hurt. I have an inner 20-year-old. There's things that have happened in my 20s where I've been very hurt, like traumatized, or in my 30s. And, I get to now know I'm 46 and I'm here. We are here now, and I hate to like it for anybody. I don't know. Maybe a long time ago, I might have thought that person's kind of crazy talking to herself, but it's positive talk. It's a positive talk rather than saying you're fucking, you're stupid.
Yeah.
Cussing myself out or cussing myself out, or what's wrong with you, or I have to reframe it. I have to reframe it and find another way to replace it. And that is, we're okay. We're okay. I do know a lot of people that specialize in actually working with people in the inner child arena. And I have worked with a lot of people that do specialize in that solely. So I know the work's out there, and it's beautiful work. It's beautiful work because there is a lot of self-sabotage. And we are very hard on ourselves. And I see it all the time. I see it all, especially the arena that I work in. I see it all the time. And sometimes it comes out in shopping. It comes out in getting yourself indebted. It comes out in cheating. It comes out in overeating. It comes out in addiction. It comes out in all sorts of ways. But there's this deeper layer that does stem from childhood.
Yeah, maybe it's just a part of getting older and looking back on your life and reflecting, or maybe it's a part of helping people have better relationships, or maybe it's just a human condition that we're flawed. However, I feel like we can be on the cusp of changing not only ourselves, but the planet. If we can just learn to, what I think it stems from? I think it comes down to language. When I was at school, I never realized, like, why do I got to take English? Like, I totally speak it. Like, this is so dumb. However, the older you get, the more you realize the canon that is the English language and the different words that can be used. And, a sentence is just a linguistic pathway for a thought. And if you can provide a really beautiful linguistic pathway, then you can paint pictures in the minds of other people. And if you can do that, that's when you can really begin to change people's opinions and their views of themselves. Or if a young child who maybe grows up in a home where both parents are working and they don't have any time, or maybe there's just one parent, they don't have any time to spend with them, that child is at a deficit, especially when it comes to language, where if the mom, like you said, if the mom is busy and she's like, what are you, dumb? You stupid? Instead of saying, oh my gosh, are you struggling right here? What's the problem? Can I help you? To the exact same thing she's saying, but just in different words. But to a child, it's like, oh man, I am dumb. I am stupid. I'll never make it. And then at that point in time, it's so hard for that child to catch back up to the person who has someone that can communicate well to them. And I think if there's one thing I could tell people that on my podcast, I try to talk to people about is change your language, change your life,
Mm-hmm.
right? Your inner dialogue, the words you use, like the words you use describe who you are. You should be trying to find the most beautiful words possible. Look for a
Mm-hmm.
15-letter word in the dictionary and try to use that one to describe who you are, what you do. And it's such a beautiful way to communicate, is that when you can, I think it opens up ways to see other people too. Like when you just the word empathic, or the word empathy, and you think about the ideas behind these words, the intention behind those words, I think it
Mm-hmm.
really opens up.
Yeah, and how you treat someone else is a mere reflection of what you feel about yourself. It just is, so it's so much so, I mean, treating yourself really well and being loving towards yourself. I mean, how the heck can you treat somebody, genuinely give away, you can't give something you don't have. So if you're, when somebody's doing really good and I mean, you're really genuinely happy for them, it's because you're in a good place. You're in a good headspace. There have been times where I've seen people do really well and I'm jealous. I'm angry. I mean, those are states of I'm not in a good place, and you kind of can't see it. You're not aware of it, but it's our duty. And that's why I like to tell people, the better, how can you not invest in yourself? Like, that's the best gift you can give to your loved ones. It's the best gift when you are taking care of yourself, and on all levels, like I mean, it's the best gift, because now you feel so good and you want to share it. You want to give it away. And that's how you keep it. I truly believe, you have to give it away to keep it. You have to share it. And I don't just want to keep it to myself. I want to share it, because then it makes me feel like, I don't know, the purpose, a passion. And when I get to see other people go help other people, and they're just like, it's just this like, oh my God, it's so awesome. And, but we do owe it to ourselves. I mean, it's the best gift we can give our loved ones, is to take care of ourselves and start talking lovingly to ourselves and treating ourselves, really good on all levels.
Yeah, I heard a good quote one time that says, in life, what you give, you get to keep, but what you fail to give, you lose forever. And
Mm-hmm.
in the beginning, it sounds kind of like, does that make sense? But if you'll never get another chance to give your heart, or never get another chance to give kindness to someone in that moment. But if you give everything you got, like, you look back on that and be thankful for it.
And ultimately, that's all we have. At the very end, we can't take all the monumental things with us. I mean, it's nice to live nice. It
Right?
is. It's nice to live comfortable, and we want, but it's what you do. It's how you respect your stuff and what you do with your stuff. And, but at the end, we can't take it with us. We have
Yep.
to be able to have that peace in our heart and know that we did good things in life. So I don't know. Uh,
Yeah.
so on that, I know we're going to talk about the cookbook. I'm super excited to talk about that.
Absolutely. What do you got about? Tell us about the cookbook. When does it come out? What's in it? What can we expect to be cooking? What do you got about it?
Yes, it's called the Sober Cookbook, and it was all stemmed from pretty much everything we already talked about. Nutrients, how important it is to take care of your body, but I'm going to have all sorts of fun recipes in there, focusing on deficiencies that a lot of us are most common to have when we're first early in sobriety. And it probably is going to be very aligned with a lot of people who aren't in the recovery arena, but it really focuses on the foods that are best in the nutrients level, for deficiencies, and to help lose unwanted pounds, because anybody who's had the beer belly or the beverage belly knows that it's time to lose some pounds. So anyways, that's what the cookbook's about. I'm really excited about that, and that'll be out hopefully in the next few months. But there is a wait list on my website. I don't know if you have it on your podcast. But
I have some links below, but where's the bet? Like, if people want to reach out to you, where can they find you?
either I think I'm on all the Instagram, the Facebook, and then I have my website. And on the website, you can go on the wait list for the cookbook.
Nice. Is it some of like the Caudill family recipes from generations ago? We're gonna see any of that in there?
No. Those were more like baseball field. We was on the softball field most of the time at the snack bar. But
That's
no,
so funny.
this is through my my last 7 years of the journey of my favorite recipes and that I put together and next best options. So there's a lot of good stuff on there. And
And does
there's
that
places to journal in the cookbook as well. So you can kind of show an assessment of where you're at when you first start. It's like a 30-day reset, basically. And I know I've kind of sampled it and done some kind of beta testing with a few girls already. And it's pretty neat. Like these two girls had no desire to quit drinking, but they wanted to see what it felt like to not drink for 30 days. So they did really well, and they had some good results. So it's a fun little thing to put out there.
Yeah, it's awesome. And does it work with the DNA testing kit as well?
The DNA testing kit will only help the food selections, help you narrow down the food selections to your most optimal foods. So if you do the genetic testing with it, that's optimal. That's going to be the best, but
Nice.
it's not needed.
Nice. All right. Well, Carissa Caudill, I'm excited to talk to you. Thank you for taking some time to spend with me and the audience and taking us through a journey that is, I think, everyone is going to hopefully go through and find their own way. And thank you very much for helping people and just being a beautiful human being. And I got your links below. Is there anything you want to tell people before we go?
Just thank you for being here if you're listening. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. And yeah, just take care of yourself. Drink lots of water, lots of water, and talk kind to yourself. And yeah, just love and health to everybody. Mwah. Love and health.
Nice. Okay, everybody. Have a great day. Aloha.